Hey guys, Robert Howell here, mobile home expert. If you want to learn how to use mobile home parks to reduce your taxes, stay tuned here and listen to the show.
Welcome to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owners Association, where real estate investors have found success since 1968. I'm your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group. This episode is sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com. And RCB and Associates, helping real estate investors and small business owners navigate the complex world of health insurance and Medicare benefits at rcbassociatesllc.com. Hello and welcome to episode 548. Most investors never seriously look at mobile home parks and land home development. The assumptions they make about this asset class keeps them out of a market that may be one of the best kept gold mines in affordable housing. My guest today is Robert Howell, a real estate investor and developer with more than 250 lots across the Southeast. Today, Robert will help us understand what land home development is and why it has stayed one of real estate's best kept secrets. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Tell me and our listeners what you mean when you say land home development and what it has to do with mobile home park investing.
So land home development, really easy. Think of it as like a spec house, but instead of a spec house, we're doing a mobile home or a manufactured house. So we buy land, we place a brand new manufactured house on it, and then we sell the land and the home together as a package, typically to a first-time homeowner.
How did you come across this strategy? Well, first of all, I keep saying mobile home parks. Are you a mobile home park investor or a mobile home investor? Like, what do you consider yourself to be primarily?
The way I look at it really is two ways, and we'll start with kind of the backstory of how I got here, if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
So I was working in event marketing and COVID hit, and I was like, well, there's never going to be an event again. I got to do something different. And so I started buying and selling houses, affordable housing. And when I was doing that, one of the guys I was buying from said, hey, my nephew owns this mobile home park across the street. Would you be interested in it? I said, well, I don't know anything about mobile home parks, but I know about affordable housing. And so I bought that mobile home park, and that was my first community, first park that I purchased in 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And through that process, and you asked me, well, which one do you do? Do you do mobile homes? Do you do land home? Do you do mobile home parks? And they kind of all blend together. But through that first mobile home park, I got my dealer's license. And when I got the dealer's license, I saw, well, I can get these homes for a fairly good price. If I can do that, instead of flipping houses, I might as well buy brand new manufactured housing, buy land, and put the two together. And so I started doing that too. And so to go back to your question is, which one do you do? The way I look at it, the mobile home parks for me, I own, like I said, 250 lots across about 25 parks, so small and mid-sized parks. And those are really my long-term investment strategy. I buy those for tax purposes to help with writing off my taxes. And then also when they're all paid off, there'll be a really good retirement. And then my day-to-day is doing the land home packages and developing land and putting brand new manufactured housing on it and selling those to first-time homeowners.
You were working in marketing, and then someone said, hey, do you want to buy this mobile home park? And you said, sure. I mean, it couldn't have been that easy. I mean, how did you even know how to assess it, what to do with it once you purchased it? Was this your first commercial property?
First one, yeah. I'll tell you, I was buying houses, and I was buying like $5,000 house and selling it for $25 and doing wholesaling. And so I knew a little bit about real estate after event marketing, but didn't know anything about mobile home parks. I didn't even know it was a good deal. And come to find out, it was a good deal. And in terms of like evaluating it, really, I'm old school in terms of the way I evaluate it. I just look at napkin math. I said, hey, what's the revenue? What's the rent roll? What are the expenses? What's my loan payment going to be? And at the end of the day, based on all those numbers, do I make a profit? And that's how I got started. And that's how I still evaluate today. I don't really worry about cap rate or any other complicated ratio equation. I just look and say, hey, is the revenue greater than the expenses? And if it is, then let's do it, right?
You make it sound so simple.
That's probably way too simple, but it really can be that simple, right?
What I'm getting at is like, you don't know what you don't know. So if you've never owned or operated or even researched mobile home parks, what surprises did you encounter once you bought it that kind of deviated from that napkin math that you did?
For sure. I mean, the expenses, of course, there's lots of expenses that I didn't expect in terms of repairs and maintenance, and have learned quite a bit through the process of owning these communities that it's always more than you think it's going to be in terms of what it's going to cost to either fix up or what it's going to cost to make repairs to make the tenants happy.
Were you still able to make a profit on that property? Did you have enough buffer there to cover these unexpected expenses?
For sure, I did. So I'd end up selling that park, and I don't like selling a lot, but I did sell that one a year later for a good profit that then enabled me to buy more communities. But yeah, it was a profitable venture for sure.
I want to talk about the communities and land home investing, but I think it would be helpful to also talk about affordable housing first and why this type of investing, land home, mobile homes, mobile home parks, why is that a form of affordable housing to you?
As we look at mobile home parks as rentals, let's talk there first. As you look at the market in terms of what's available for rent, typically a mobile home park or a mobile home is going to be the most affordable option for a tenant or for a resident. And so that's where we look at it like affordable housing, right? We may charge $600 to $800 a month for rent, whereas a apartment, even in towns, charging $900 to $1,200, right? And so we can offer an option for affordability for renters. And then for home buyers, what we have found is we're able to offer a product that is brand new, really well built in a factory, and typically more acreage when a new home buyer is buying for a great price as compared to what they're looking against us is, typically a townhouse or maybe an older renovated house. And so we're offering a lot of great affordability with newer construction.
So a lot of these mobile home manufactured homes are very, very nice. I'm very impressed by their quality. Why are they so affordable, though? I mean, is it just because they're mass produced in a warehouse? I mean, what puts them at that price point?
Honestly, no one's ever asked me that. And it's probably something I need to research deeper, which I will. But, my suspicion is that they're made in a factory and they're made with a very repeatable process, right? That is the same process every single day. And so when you look at these factories, they're producing 20 to 40 houses a week. Whereas, if you're doing a site-built house, you're not nearly produce them as fast, right? A house that goes through a factory process typically is built within like 4 days, I think, from beginning to end. And so I think that process just systemized and repeated over and over again creates affordability and creates good value.
The average price point, and maybe you can speak to this, maybe you can't, but that's okay. The average price point of a manufactured home versus like a stick-built home, what's the price point as far as what you know?
To give you an example, and I'm thinking with land and like complete cost here as I think about my budgets, 1,440 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home for us to build with a manufactured house is going to cost with land somewhere $125,000 to $140,000, $125,000 to $140,000. Where I would imagine that same site-built house is going to be closer to the low 200s. So considerable savings.
Help us understand then, like your strategy going forward. Are you buying the more mobile home parks and then you carving out additional land that you're putting new homes on, which is different from what you might also be doing, which is just buying land itself and putting the manufactured home on it. So talk about what you're specifically doing there.
Really, I look at continuing with both mobile home parks and land home packages. And like I kind of hinted towards at the beginning is day to day, I'm doing land home packages, and they're from a profit and revenue and tax basis, they're treated like flipping income. So one of the highest tax brackets there is. So as I continue to do more and more of those, I need to then offset that income. And so the way I do that is I use the cash that I make with land home packages and reinvest that into mobile home parks and use what's called a cost segregation study, bonus depreciation. And so I'm able to accelerate the depreciation of that mobile home park into year one, which then allows me to offset some of the income that I make from land home packages. And of course, the mobile home parks are profitable day to day, month to month. But reality is, I tell people I own 25 mobile home parks. They think, man, you must be sitting on a yacht somewhere, right? But reality is I have loans on all of them, and they're not paid off for 10, 15, 20 years. And so when they're paid off, it's going to be great. But right now they all have loans on them, and they are cash flow positive, but not producing a ton of income. But the tax benefits is huge.
There's two avenues here I want to go down. Let's start with the mobile home park. So you continue to buy more mobile home parks. What is your niche? What are you looking for? Where are they located? What makes you say, yes, I'm going to buy this?
Everything I've bought to date has been in the upstate of South Carolina. I really like that market. I know the market. It's easy for me to make decisions on the market. And I bought small and mid-sized mobile home parks. So anything from 3 lots to, I think my biggest is 30 lots. And so it's an asset that the institutional and the larger buyers are not buying. And so there's a little bit less competition in buying them. And there's quite a few of those out there. In South Carolina, I think there's probably 1,500 small and mid-sized mobile home parks. And so and most of them are owned by older owners who are looking to retire and looking to sell.
What's the upside when you buy these? What are you looking for? Are you looking for like below market rents? Value add strategies?
So typically they have below market rents. The owner has owned them for a long time, has not increased the rents to market rent. So that's an opportunity for sure. And sometimes that can be achieved pretty quickly in terms of getting to market rent. Sometimes the rents are so low. I bought one last year and people were paying $100 for lot rent when the market rent was $400. And so I'm not one to go in and say, hey, overnight your rent's going to quadruple. And so it's a slow and steady increase. But yeah, the other is just value add opportunities in terms of improvements. That could be infrastructure improvements, could be just the aesthetics of the park and things that you could change to increase the rents, increase the livability of the park. And then sometimes we see things where maybe a landlord has used one of the mobile homes in the park as like a storage unit, and they've used it. It's a lot approved by the county that could be collecting income, but instead they're storing materials in there. Or, the other option is maybe it's just a vacant unit that's never been repaired and rented out.
I'd like to take a moment to tell you about Green Property Management. Not only do they manage everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area, they also manage my entire portfolio. So I can tell you from personal experience that their unique flat fee management style is worth a closer look. If you feel that your property isn't operating to its fullest potential, then Green Property Management can help you take a holistic approach that will save you money, eliminate your headaches, and increase your net income. And if you're a property manager interested in applying Green Property Management's model, give them a call at 1-866-95-GREEN or visit them on the web at greenpropertymgt.com. If you're thinking of leaving your W-2 job and becoming a full-time real estate investor, one of the greatest costs you must consider is healthcare for you and your family. When I made this transition myself, I found the whole healthcare insurance process to be confusing and frustrating. That's why I'm glad I met Chad Creasy at RCB and Associates. Chad is a professional health insurance agent who helps real estate investors and small business owners understand and choose their best healthcare options. And best of all, his services are covered by the insurance company and won't cost you a dime. If you live in Michigan and are expecting a change in your healthcare insurance coverage for any reason, or losing employer coverage or transitioning into Medicare, then you owe it to yourself to contact Chad Creasy at rcbAssociatesllc.com. One of the things that, every guest who's come on the show and talked about mobile home parks has said as a plus for mobile home parks is that they're really not allowed. You can't build more mobile home parks because cities have zoned them out, which leads into your land home strategy. Because it sounds like have you figured out a way around that to buy land and put a mobile home park on top of it? Or is that a separate lot by lot type of thing.
Two different things. I buy only existing mobile home parks. You can develop it in some areas, but it's very difficult. So the land home package is really, you're just buying a single lot most of the time. Sometimes we get multiple lots together, but we're buying in areas that allow for mobile homes to be placed.
Talk us through that strategy, because I mean, it sounds simple, but I'm sure there's some nuances to it that you figured out.
For land home packages, we're looking for land. We're sending out all kinds of marketing via direct mail, cold calling, texting. We're also reaching out to wholesalers, Facebook Marketplace, really trying to be diversified in the way that we market. So we'll send out solicitation to buy your property. Hopefully you're motivated. Typically we're trying to target motivated list. Maybe you've recently inherited the land, or maybe recently gone through a divorce or a death or whatever it may be. So there's some motivation that makes you want to sell the property. Once we get in contact with you, you say, yes, sir, I'd love to sell the house, or sell the land. We reach an agreement on it. And then we go through a due diligence phase. So we're going to go through typically a 30 to 45 day due diligence on the land to make sure that everything checks the box. Does the soil work for a septic tank? Is there water available? Is there power available? Can we get a driveway? You name it. We're going to make sure that we've done all of our due diligence, checked all the boxes off. Because we got a lot of projects going on, and I want to make sure I sleep good at night, that I didn't buy a property that can't be used for a mobile home, or maybe doesn't have water, or whatever it might be. So after we get through the due diligence, we're going to close on that property. And right away, because time is money, we have loans on these. Typically, we do hard money loans or private lender loans. We want to get to work right away. So we're going to close on it today. Tomorrow, we're going to start grading. And so we'll do grading and clearing of the property, prepare a nice house pad for the new mobile home that's going to come in. And then now we're just waiting on the mobile home to arrive. So when we closed, we typically have ordered the house, and we're just waiting for that house to be completed. Once that house is completed, it delivers from the factory. And there's lots of manufactured housing factories around the U.S. And typically it's very regional in terms of where we buy from, because of the shipping cost. As you can imagine, shipping a house down the road is quite expensive. And so in South Carolina, we're going to buy from a plant that's either in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, maybe Alabama. And they're going to ship the house to us, and it's going to arrive in two pieces. That's why they call them double wides, because it's two pieces. And we're going to put those two pieces together. It's called setting and blocking and tying it down. So we're going to block it. We're going to set up on piers. We're going to tie it down to the earth, make sure that thing's not going anywhere, permanently attached to the land. And then we had to finish it all out where the two pieces came together. We do nice brick underpinning, decks, power, HVAC, water, septic tanks. And typically that would take, from the time that we buy the land to the time we're ready to list the house, is typically 2 months. We want to move as quick as we can. So in 2 months, we've got the house done and ready to list for sale with a realtor. And so we list all of our houses with realtors. So we'll list the house for sale with a realtor. And our goal is every investor has a different strategy, but in terms of pricing, we like to price ours aggressive so that it'll go under contract within a couple weeks. Sometimes it'll take a month. In this market, it's a little bit slower than it's been, but they're still selling really quick. In fact, this weekend I was at a baseball game and Saturday night, and I got 2 houses under contract while I was at the baseball game, which is really cool. And so they're still selling pretty quick, and we asked for a 30-day close. So imagine we've got, from the time we buy the land to the time it's listed, is 2 months, and then a 30-day close. So typically our goal is within like 4 to 6 months, we've sold the property and we've moved on to the next one.
Buyers able to close that quickly? I mean, are they paying all cash, or are there special loans out there for this type of product?
I'd say 95% of the people we're selling to are first-time homeowners, and so they're getting FHA loans. And we've had success where we can get a 30-day close with an FHA loan. And we've got to stay on top of the lenders to make sure they're doing all their work, but it can happen for sure.
Sounds like these are not mobile homes on wheels. These are permanent structures then that you're putting down. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they arrive on site with wheels, pulled by a tractor trailer. But once they're set up, the wheels and axles are taken off, and then it's set, on permanent foundation, brick and block underpinning.
Is it considered for property tax purposes a permanent structure on the property, or is it considered a vehicle and it's taxed differently?
So when it initially arrives, the property has its own deed and title. The mobile home has its own title, like a DMV title, vehicle title. What we do is called detitling. And so it's a process where we take that DMV title and we take it to the county and surrender it and say, hey, we want to surrender this title and permanently put the home and the land together as real property. And so at that point, they become one tax bill, one deed, one piece together.
And you're selling this outright. So you're not renting, you're not maintaining the control of the land or anything. You're selling both the land and the product.
We are. Yep. We're selling it all outright.
Going back to the beginning of this process where you're doing your due diligence, I mean, there's, you put an emphasis on making sure that you could put this type of property on the land. And based on the fact that it's going to become a permanent structure anyway, what do you ever find any sort of restriction that prevents you from doing this strategy?
It's happened before, and I'm embarrassed to say it has, but one of the very first ones we did, we actually moved a mobile home to a piece of property. The county approved it, but when we moved it there, the neighbor said, hey, you can't put a mobile home here. It's against our HOA. And we're like, well, this is on a really busy road, and it didn't look like a HOA. It looked like just a public road. We're like, oh, it's just a guy that doesn't like mobile homes. Let's just continue. Well, sure enough, a few weeks later, the HOA served us with a lawsuit and said, hey, you can't put a mobile home here. Here's the HOA rules. And there was a deed restriction that our closing attorney didn't catch that didn't allow for mobile homes. And so now we're extra careful on that. And we always inform the attorney of our intent is to put a mobile home and for them to triple check. But there are deed restrictions that we face. Sometimes there are zoning rules, but in our area, not so much. But if you get into city limits, typically they don't allow for mobile homes. But in the county, we usually don't have an issue with that.
What is to prevent you from just buying a whole tract or subdivision and building these out in an entire neighborhood?
There's really nothing other than, I'd say, funding and risk tolerance. As you could probably imagine, developing an entire neighborhood takes a bit more funding. And we have some great funding partners, individuals like you or I that have been successful that lend us money. But they lend on individual projects, sometimes two at a time. Our biggest parcel that we've done is 9 lots together, but they all had road frontage, so we didn't have to develop any interior roads. The other is risk tolerance. For me personally, I like scattered lots and being able to be in one city and then another. And as nice as it would be to work all in one location, I like to be diversified so that, hey, if this city doesn't work out as well as I thought it would, then I still have this other one over here, right? And so I may make $10,000 here and it was a bad deal, whereas over here I might make $50,000 and it was a great deal. So I'm going to do more over here.
What does your team look like?
We've got a business partner and then I have a project manager that works with us. Last year we did 50 of these land home packages. This year, hopefully we'll do 75 or 100. So we've got a project manager that helps. And we also have a team of virtual assistants that help us remotely with some more of the administrative tasks.
How would our listeners and viewers find out more about you or get a hold of you?
I would love to talk to anyone about affordable housing, about land home packages, mobile home parks. The best way to reach me is just directly on my cell phone. You can text me 864-293-2798. Just shoot me a text and say, hey, I saw you on Brian's show and would love to talk about land home packages or mobile home parks.
How are you using AI in your business today?
I love AI. And so I use all the different AIs there are in order to help make business plans, to help make flyers, whatever it may be. I find myself mostly using Claude right now. I'm using Claude, the general Claude, I don't know what it's called, but then I've also started using Claude Cowork to help with some of the more deep research. And then I'm also using Manus. I like Manus. It seems to be a bit more of a deep research than the ChatGPTs of the world.
I tried Manus at one point, but it didn't quite do what I wanted it to. So what specifically are you using Manus for, and why do you like it so much?
So I'll use Manus. I may use it to make a pro forma, for example, or make a budget. I may use it to research county codes and county zoning. Those are probably two specific examples.
And you find it's better than, say, ChatGPT or Claude at doing that type of research?
It seems like it goes deeper, and that may be just my perception. You ask ChatGPT for an answer, and I love ChatGPT. I still use ChatGPT a lot, but it'll give you an answer in 20 seconds, whereas Manus might take like a minute or two. And so maybe that's just my perception that Manus is spending more time researching. And maybe it's not true. I don't know.
When you say you do pro formas on it, is it creating Excel spreadsheets for you?
It does.
Well, Robert, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show and talking about mobile home park investing, and then this land home strategy of buying the land and putting a manufactured home on it. I mean, that's a great strategy. And I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your success with it. It's been a real pleasure.
Appreciate you having me.
I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. I'm your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group, and you can find out more about me by going to higinvestor.com. That's HIGinvestor.com. This episode was sponsored by Green Property Management, managing everything from single-family homes to apartment complexes in the West Michigan area. Find out more at greenpropertymgt.com.
And RCB & Associates, helping real estate investors and small business owners navigate the complex world of health insurance and Medicare benefits at rcbassociatesllc.com.
You've been listening to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association. You can find out more at rpoaonline.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and review.